Welcome to Mock the Mock, where I take a look at someone else's mock draft and I will mock it. Yeah, I'm a terrible scener, I know, but I take a look at someone else's mock draft and I mock it, giving you my views, thoughts, and opinions. Got a great one for you today. We're going to be heading over to our good friends over at PFF, taking a look at Jordan Plotcher in his mock draft. This is my first time really seeing his work at all, so this is a good, hopefully it's a good first impression. But let's get into this sucker. Pick one. It's the Tennessee Titans. They're going with Travis Hunter, wide receiver / corner out of Colorado. I say this all the time when they don't go quarterback. The GM, he said he's going to go out and he's going to get the best player in this draft. If he thinks that is Travis Hunter, then awesome, cool, let's do it. Send it. You got L'Jarius Sneed. You're going to have Hunter opposite of that, I suppose. And then you can find fun ways to utilize Jarvis Brownlee, a part of the rotation there on the outside. Of course, you got Roger McCreary on the inside, but Hunter, what he offers as a receiver too, even if it is just part-time, so to speak, or maybe he does go full-time with both positions. Or maybe the times are like, no, we need wide receiver help. You're a wide receiver. Again, it's a can of worms I don't want to open. I'm not prepared to talk about it yet. I haven't decided. Matter of fact, I don't know if Travis Hunter has decided what is he going to do when he gets to the NFL. But there's no doubt in that he is one of, if not the top player in this class. Let's move to the Cleveland Browns and take a look at Abdul Carter, edge out of Penn State. So if they move Myles Garrett, which I think in the intro I saw something about a blockbuster trade, so I think we're getting a Myles Garrett trade in this mock draft, then yeah, Abdul Carter is kind of the obvious selection here. You could kick that quarterback can down the road further. If you're gonna kind of fire sale some of your team, I say some, like Myles Garrett, maybe you see Denzel Ward. I think maybe MJ Emerson's probably the more likely candidate there. But if you do fire sale portions of the team and you're like, you know what, we might not be competing next year. Deshaun Watson, Achilles, aggravated that sucker again. We're probably not going to see him for a grip of next year. We're probably going to be a bad team. Let's just prepare for the 2026 NFL draft. Let's get draft capital for that class. So if we aren't drafted in the top 3, top 5, we have the capital to move up and take our guy. I think that's a sound strategy when it's all said and done. But you do need to replace Myles Garrett if you move on from him. And I say replace, you're never going to replace Myles Garrett, but Abdul Carter is not a bad way to do that. But let me give a quick shout out to our friends over at Underdog of Fantasy. If you didn't know, now you know. When you download Underdog Fantasy and sign up using the promo code BROSHMO, they will match your first deposit up to $1,000 dues. It's the best place for weekly best ball. And yes, they still got best ball. They still have best ball. And now they've included this rookie class. So you could do that. March Madness is coming up. We got basketball. We have baseball coming up in the summer. They got all kinds of things. They even do esports. It's kind of nuts. It's kind of wild. You could play their pick'ems where you go higher or lower on players' stats. It's a great way to get in, to put a little cheddar on your sports viewing experience. And if you want to do that, when you download the app, it's promo code BROSHMO. But as always, play responsibly, play within your means. We're at pick 3. It's Shedeur Sanders. He's going to the New York Giants, which now I'm led to believe that Cam Ward's probably going to go to the Las Vegas Raiders. But listen, the Giants have done their homework on both Sanders and Ward. A lot of people think that they're probably in the Sanders basket, and that's a-okay. You got 2 coaches on the hot seat. Well, you got a coach on the, well, I guess a coaching staff that's on the hot seat along with the GM. Does a rookie quarterback help save your job? Well, rookie quarterbacks have been known to extend the leashes on front offices that have short leashes. But at the same time, we've seen one and done with guys who have drafted quote unquote their guy, and then they get the axe, they get the can. We saw it with Frank Reich in Carolina and such. So again, not necessarily a tried and true strategy, but if you are looking to the future and maybe you bring in a veteran quarterback to start off and maybe help retain your job and have some sort of a competitive season, then be like, well, hey, I got my guy. Let me develop my guy, and we'll send it with them in year 2. So I don't know, man. We'll see. But let's get to pick 4, as it's gonna be the New England Patriots taking Will Campbell. He's by far been the most popular draft pick, I think, for the New England Patriots. I get it. Their offensive line is pee poo poo. Take the best offensive lineman in this class. A lot of people have that as Will Campbell, and I don't deny it. For me, it's kind of a toss-up between him and Kelvin Banks. And the question is, are those guys guards or are they tackles in the NFL? Well, I suppose we'll find out. But New England taking an offensive line helping your investment that is Drake May doesn't surprise me none. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars, they go with defensive tackle Mason Graham out of Michigan. Another one that's been kind of a chalk pick as of late for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm typically like, just take one of the Michigan prospects, whether that's Will Johnson at corner or Mason Graham at defensive tackle. Get him in there with Eric Armstead. You have Mason Smith, who you're still developing, and just have a fierce, ferocious pass rush. Maybe you address that cornerback 2 position in free agency. Again, a lot of this is going to change after free agency. So buckle in, strap up. We got a long offseason ahead of us. Pick 6. Oh my gosh. The Las Vegas Raiders take Ashton Jeanty, running back out of Boise State. And I said Cam Ward going to the Raiders. Nope. They're like, screw it. We're good at quarterback. We're going to bring in Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. We're going to be competitive this year. And to help whoever quarterback we have there, we're going to get a run game. We got an ascended offensive line. Let's get a running back for that ascended offensive line. Ashton Jeanty, listen, I think he probably goes, I'm going to say top 12. Looking at the Cowboys as that floor for Ashton Jeanty. Dude was phenomenal at Boise State. So like, do I dislike the pick? No, I don't. But with Cam Ward on the board, I feel like I want to roll that dice. I feel like I want to take that swing at quarterback. I feel it, but doesn't happen here. Pick 7, New York Jets. Oh, the Jets take Cam Ward, quarterback out of Miami. Oh man, I love seeing new and different mock drafts. Aaron Glenn, this is his first year as head coach for the New York Jets. They are moving on from Aaron Rodgers, so they will be looking to quarterback. The question is that in this draft or is that in a draft yet to come? Apparently it's this draft. If Cam Ward's there at 7, yeah, I think go ahead and swing for the fences. Instill a little bit of hope. A little bit of hope in Jets fans with the selection of a quarterback in the first round. Cam Ward, I think, is a top quarterback. He's a more toolsy guy than Shedeur Sanders, and that's what I'm kind of leaning on. I do think Shedeur is the more put together passer as of right now, but Ward ain't half bad himself. Pick 8. Carolina Panthers go with Tetaroa McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona. You're just going to continue to help out the young signal caller, Bryce Young, who shows some flashes after being benched. Looked really good in his last like 8 or 9 games. And yeah, look at the wide receiver room. Yes, you need to add. You don't have an alpha there. Xavier Legette might be a better wide receiver too. Adam Thielen still there to take up the slot. You saw good things from Jalen Coker, but you still feel like you need another guy in that wide receiver room. Tetaroa McMillan certainly is another guy. You like the NFL draft. Matter of fact, you love the NFL draft, which means you're going to love my draft guide. If you want to know every player your team drafts or even signs as an undrafted free agent, then this is for you. My draft guide updates every day, and you'll be able to see those updates in real time as I add new evals and player backgrounds. It'll have analytics from this year and last year. It'll have the pro day and combine numbers. It'll even have my notes from the senior and shrine bowl. It's a one-time purchase of $30 via PayPal, Venmo, or the Cash App. You can check out the pinned comment or the description if you want to follow those links. And when you do purchase it, please be sure to include your email because it is a Google spreadsheet. So I'm going to require your email. Don't make me hunt it down because I will hunt you down. I will find you and I'll make sure you get your money's worth. Anywho, thanks for supporting the channel. Pick 9 New Orleans Saints. They go with James Pierce Jr., edge out of Tennessee. Now, I do think the Saints, at least in terms of who they've been looking at, guys like Brandon Staley, you got the Vikings defensive pass game coordinator. They went out. They've been interviewing Christian Parker, the defensive backs coach for the Eagles. It looks like they might be going to more of like a 2-gap in, get pressure on the edge with some stand-up rushers, and I think that's right up the alley for James Pierce Jr. He is still my edge too. I think he's going to blow it out of the water at the combine, and I guess I'm not entirely shocked that some people have him at the back end of the first round or even the middle of the first round. Maybe I'm just a little higher on him than the general consensus. He was still winning consistently. Yeah, there are times where it's like, man, you need to continue to add to your pass rush arsenal, your toolbox. The run game, I thought there was a big improvement, but certainly does need more. He needs to continue to add more weight to his frame. We'll see how he looks at the combine because typically guys come in light, trying to run fast. So I don't know. That's going to be a big indicator of what his actual playing weight's going to be at the NFL level, but we shall see. Chicago Bears, they go with Kelvin Banks Jr., tackle, or maybe in this case guard, out of Texas. Man, I was just talking about him at pick 4 for the Patriots. And yeah, the Bears, they need to go in on the offensive line. I think a lot of that's going to be done via free agency. Maybe having that heir apparent at tackle could be huge if they move off of Braxton Jones. We'll see. Again, a lot of that will be dictated and decided via free agency. But if they do go after Trey Smith, who will be a right guard, you can have Kelvin Banks, who's only played on the left side his whole career, immediately slot into left guard. And not necessarily call it a day, but be like, yeah, we're kind of hoping he's heir apparent at left tackle. But man, if he tears it up at guard, maybe we don't want to move him. Maybe we do extend Braxton Jones. Like, the offensive line needs refurbished, rehashed, and particularly the interior. You do that with this pick. Pick 11, the San Francisco 49ers go with Josh Simmons, tackle out of Ohio State. And listen, Trent Williams will be 37 in July, I believe. We're coming to the end of the road, as Boys to Men once said. Saw them in concert in Vegas a few years ago. Phenomenal. And Simmons might be considered this highly, if not for the ACL injury, right? That happened in that first Oregon game. Like, he was well on his way to contending for OT1 in this class. And you could make a case. It's like, yeah, well, AC injury be darned. Like, he's going to be healthy coming into camp, and hopefully he doesn't even need to start right away. We can develop him, but he's got a versatile body type. Like, I think he could probably slot into guard if you need him year 1 there, but not necessarily, you don't necessarily have to do that. But I get it. I think the Niners are going to be heavy in the trenches in this class. Okay, we're seeing the Browns mock draft set. How sway how? So apparently this is your Browns draft. So spoiler alert, these players aren't going in the first round in Josh Connerly Jr., Travion Henderson, and Jalen Milroe. But the Browns trade the Cowboys. Is this all in, Jerry? Is this all in? So Miles Sanders, the Cowboys land Miles Oh my gosh, Myles Garrett. Miles Sanders, get out of my head, bro. Get out of my head. The Cowboys land Myles Garrett. They're going to have to figure out how that works financially. You're going to pair him up with Micah Parsons. You still got to re-sign Parsons and CeeDee Lamb. We'll see how that works. They'll figure it out. But the Cowboys trade 2 first-rounders this year and next year to get Garrett. Cleveland, they acquire Will Johnson, which I actually quite like. So you get 2 top defensive prospects in this class, which probably means you want to move off of probably MJ Emerson. Though then again, both next year, MJ Emerson and Greg Newsome will be free agents. So that's something to take into account. But I like this for the Browns if they can make it work. I don't see it happening, but golly, dude, that's wild, dude. That's wild. I didn't expect to see that. I wonder if we see any other trades or if it's just Myles Garrett trade and we're going to call it a day. The Miami Dolphins go with Armand Membu, tackle at Missouri. I think in this case, he's going to play right guard for us. If injuries do occur, he can kick out to tackle, which is great. Which is A-okay. We did see, I think Austin Jackson missed a couple of games last year. Terry Armstead always misses games, but we got our left tackle of the future, hopefully, in Patrick Paul. He played pretty well when he had to step in. But listen, the Dolphins need guards. They really don't have a legit guard on the roster with guys like Isaiah Wynn, Robert Jones, Liam Eichenberg, all free agents. Now it's coming out that the Dolphins are going to let Javon Holland test free agency. Woof. It is what it is. It's not like the Dolphins re-sign the good players that they draft. Kind of is what it is, but Membu, man, not a bad pickup. Indianapolis Colts take Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State. This is kind of a chalk pick. Colts fans rejoice. I might have some I might have some questions about the pick, but there's no denying the talent that is Tyler Warren. Atlanta Falcons, they're going to go with Mike Green, edge out of Marshall. Ooh, I love this pick. Listen, Atlanta Falcons, just pencil it in, man. You could get boring with every mock draft you do, and I try to change it up a lot just to kind of flex the different types of possibilities that can happen inside the NFL draft. But Mike Green, pass rusher for the Falcons, that makes all the sense in the world. He had a very hot combine, so I like the pick. Let's move on to the Arizona Cardinals as they select Mikael Williams, edge out of Georgia. It's no secret. The Eagles, they love drafting Georgia players. I don't know if you know this, Jonathan Gannon, once an Eagles coach, coordinator, DC. He's looking to improve the trenches. Mikael Williams does just that. God-given talent when it comes to his tools. You're waiting for that production to catch up to the potential. That was slowed a little bit by a high ankle sprain early in the year for Williams. But again, no denying the tools. Pick 17, Cincinnati Bengals go with Walter Nolan, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. I like the pick here, man. I think the trenches is the way to go for the Bengals. Again, not the end-all be-all. There could definitely be multiple right answers here. If they do move T. Higgins or decide not to re-sign T. Higgins, you can make the case for a wide receiver. We haven't seen the next wide receiver come off the board since pick 8 with Tetero and McMillan. You could talk about edge. You could talk about, I've seen corner, safety. I've seen a variety of different picks here for the Bengals. To me, though, trenches makes all the sense in the world. Seattle Seahawks are going to go with Jalen Walker. They list him as linebacker, edge out of Georgia. I mean, he does have off-ball capabilities. It gives you a versatile player there for Mike McDaniels, Mike McDonald. There we go. Who maybe sees a guy that could also use in coverage. We've seen that from his Baltimore Ravens days, using guys like Kyle Van Noy and such as coverage players as well. So Walker can do that. Pass rush in general probably needs a little spice. They don't really have an elite player there as of right now. You could turn to the interior, look to try to find a guy that can stop the run. That's always a good route to go. So all in all, man, I guess I suppose I'm okay with the pick. Tampa Bay Buccaneers go with Benjamin Morrison, corner out of Notre Dame. And this is another, I think, solid pick, because I think defense is probably the way the Bucs are going to go. And Jameel Dean could find himself being moved or being a cap casualty. Like, good player when healthy. That's a problem. The Bucs, they love really good athletes. I think Morrison's going to test out pretty well as long as things check out with the hip. Maybe he gets back into the top 20 conversation. But I know the Bucs need edge. Corner's not a bad route to go either. Pick 20, Malachi Starks going to the Denver Broncos. This would be like a PJ Locke replacement who didn't have like the greatest year after looking pretty solid in a smaller sample size the year before. Maybe you look at him and you're like, yeah, you're probably more of a rotation guy, special teamer. I mean, the value's here for Starks, who now I'm starting to see slide down boards, which I think that's more accurate. I think he's more of a mid to late first round guy. And again, that's just kind of how the NFL views the safety position when it comes to drafting it. So Starks here, I think, is a good pick for the Broncos. Would prefer to get some playmakers, pass catchers, especially with the wide receiver class kind of fall in here. You could go Luther Burden and such, but kind of is what it is. I get it. Starks probably the best player on the board. Pick 21. This would be the Chargers. All right, let's go ahead and see. No, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. How can I forget it? And they get Emeka Egbuka. I don't know why I like saying it that way, but I do. They take the wide receiver out of Ohio State, consistent chain mover. Don't know who's going to be their quarterback. Both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are free agents. But you look at that wide receiving core, and it's like you need to add some spice to it. You need to add another guy to it. Emeka Egbuka. Don't go out and spend a third rounder on Debo. Get Emeka Egbuka. Los Angeles Chargers go with Omarion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina. This is also a popular pick, or at least going running back in general for the Chargers in round 1. They want to run the football. J.K. Dobbins, he's a free agent. I think you could probably bring him back because I don't think he's going to cost that much because of the injury red flags. But they could opt to also address it in a very deep class with Hampton. I just love the size, speed, eats contact really, really well. Be an all right pick. Pick 23, Green Bay Packers go with Shamar Stewart, edge out of Texas A&M. I'm kind of in a weird place because, again, I'm getting this from that franchise guy, someone who, big Packers fan, got his ear to the organization. Sounds like the coaching staff really believes in the guys that they got along that defensive line. That they just need to develop those guys properly. So maybe they go an alternative route. Maybe that is offensive tackle. That's been something we've seen. Maybe that is a corner. That's kind of a big need. Maybe they move Jair Alexander. But Shamar Stewart's a really good value here. Someone who looked really good during the Senior Bowl. A guy who's, again, you think his best football is ahead of him. You think he's going to be a better NFL player than college player. Minnesota Vikings, they go with the Jahdae Barron, corner out of Texas. Listen, I would say the top 3 corners for the Vikings are all free agents. Shaquille Griffin, you got Stephon Gilmore, Byron Murphy. I think at least one of those guys come back, but you still need another player there. Barron, I think, would be a solid fit, man. He'd be similar to Byron Murphy, where you could kick him inside and out. And former Jim Thorpe Award winner, kicked to the outside after being largely a slot player in 2023. And he did this in the SEC, and he looked phenomenal. So Barron, I think, goes a lot higher than people have him. Houston Texans go with Luther Burden, wide receiver out of Missouri. Texans, man, they're kind of kind of in a weird spot. I mean, I would love to take offensive line here as well, offensive interior in particular, maybe Tyler Booker with this pick. But there's no denying there's some problems with the wide receiving core with Tank Dell with a late season injury. Stephon Diggs, he's a free agent, but he's also coming off an ACL injury. So it's like, you could still bring him back, but you probably want to add some more horses there. The wide receiver position fell in this draft. Burden would be, I think, a good fit for the offense. Next, we got the Los Angeles Rams going Josh Connerly Jr., tackle out of Oregon. He had a really good year, man, and I think he's probably made for more of an outside zone blocking scheme. I know the Rams, they've kind of dipped into gap a little bit under Sean McVay in recent years, but they do like their athletic offensive linemen. They don't bring back Alaric Jackson. You're probably looking to find that left tackle of the future. Even if they bring him back, you look to right tackle, and it's like, man, Robert Havenstein starting to get up there in years. Maybe we should start looking for another option there as well. So again, the pick makes sense. Pick 27, Baltimore Ravens. They take Tyler Booker, who I just mentioned a little bit earlier. Guard out of Alabama. The guard position, yeah, it needs some work. You got Patrick McCarry. He's a free agent. He's likely not coming back. Daniel Falele is okay. And that's about it. You're probably looking for someone to help get the most out of Keen Henry and those touches. Tyler Booker could be that. Detroit Lions, they're going to go with Nick Scorton, edge out of Texas A&M. I still believe in Nick Scorton. And it's not even like he had a bad year. I think he's probably going to get, for the combine, he's going to be down closer to that 270 range. And he's going to test out well. He's going to look like the athlete we saw at Purdue. And again, not to say he was bad this year. Put on weight for the system, and he still did pretty darn good, man. He was a very good run defender, and I think he's probably better as a pass rusher, rushing from that like 270. But Lions, they got Zadarius Smith. He's someone you could kick inside on passing down. Same with Scorton, actually, too. Though I think I'd rather do that with Smith. Smith's not a long-term answer. He's got one more year left on the deal. So I get it. This is probably the position that Lions fans prefer that they go with. Then we got the Washington Commanders. They're going to go with Greg Zabril, and spoiler alert, this is what the rest of their picks look like. Jordan Birch, Jalen Royals. Those are fun. But they go Greg Zabril, which I think is a little interesting. I mean, Cosme, he's not going to be available coming off the late season injury. Who do they got there at left guard? I think, honestly, they could end up moving Brandon Coleman to guard. But because I think if they're going to address the offensive line, it's probably tackle. That's kind of where I've zeroed in on it. But I mean, you probably look at that offensive line and you're like, yeah, man, let's just grab good players. Greg Zabril, good player, was probably the biggest riser coming out of the Senior Bowl. So yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Pick 30, Buffalo Bills go with Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle out of Michigan. If he's available here for the Bills, run the pick in. I mean, I would love Matthew Golden here as well, but dude, Kenneth Grant, you get a big space eater there for the defensive line, someone to play next to Ed Oliver that can also push the pocket. I think Grant goes higher than this, but I like the pick. Kansas City Chiefs go with Colston Loveland, tight end out of Michigan. Hey, let's go. Let's go. All right, so Travis Kelce, man, he's going to call it quits someday. Might not be this year, but it's going to be in the near future. They don't really have an adequate replacement. Like Noah Gray's fine, but he's a good tight end too. Not really the main dish, the main entree. The offense really struggled against the Eagles. And I mean, you probably look to the offensive line first and foremost, man. This was a team that really struggled. You look at that tackle position, but maybe tackle, you don't want to address that via the draft. Maybe they go out, find some low-cost solutions there on the offensive line. But Loveland, he's a first rounder. I will say that he's got that great pass catching upside. It's definitely a pick that I could see a lot of people making. Again, kind of waiting to hear word on what Travis Kelce's going to do. And then are we going to see Jahad Campbell? I'm going to go ahead and guess. Jahad Campbell. We see Jack Sawyer. He's still on the board. I think those could be a variety of different options. Jack Sawyer, there it is. Bam. Going to the Philadelphia Eagles. So it sounds like the Eagles aren't entirely out on Bryce Huff yet. We'll see if that's all just talk, if that's all just lip service. But I think definitely Jalix Hunt and Nolan Smith are your guys. Sawyer, though, could come in and provide just a good player there to the rotation, kind of take on that Brandon Graham role, who's basically said it but hasn't made it official, has retired. You could also look to the interior, but then who are you taking here? Like TJ Sanders could be fun. I think Sanders could be fun for the Eagles. You could bring up Jahad Campbell for linebacker, but I do think they're going to bring back Zach Bond in some form or fashion. But I like Sawyer, man. He might not be the toolsy guy in this class, but there's no denying the production. There's no denying the motor. But that's the mock draft, man. Go ahead, let me know. Gojo, golly, you scared the heck out of me. Oh, by the way, your Chiefs drafted a tight end. I wonder if you like that or not. But go ahead, let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you want more draft content, Gojo literally sitting on the cord to my headphones. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Go ahead, let me know in the comment section below. If you want more draft content, I got it on the channel. I'll leave a video here you can check out. How rude, Gojo. How rude. But as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.